Machines beeped like a countdown to the end of the world, and I prayed they'd slow down. Just enough to save my little girl. The pediatric oncology room was too white, too bright, a place where parents learned how strong love can be, and how cruel life truly is. Grace's tiny fingers wrapped around my thumb, barely strong enough for that simple hold. 3 years old, and already she'd suffered more than most people do in a lifetime. "Mommy, when I feel better, can we go to the park?" Her voice was soft, but full of hope that broke me every time. I nodded, brushing her thin hair from her forehead. "Of course we will. We'll fly on those swings higher than the birds," she smiled. And for one beat, one beautiful beat, I almost believed she would heal. But the doctors had already delivered the truth. Stage 4. No more treatment. Weeks left. Maybe days. My phone buzzed. I ignored it. Grace insisted, "You check it." "I'm okay. 17 messages, all from my sister Vanessa. You have to come to my housewarming party. Mom and Dad already booked flights. June 15th, okay for you?" June 15th. The very week doctors warned me my daughter would die, she knew. She just didn't care. I didn't reply. I held Grace's hand tighter, like love itself could delay the inevitable. That evening, I stepped into the hospital cafeteria and finally called Vanessa back. She picked up immediately, excitement bubbling like champagne. 4 bedrooms, a pool. You'll love it. We'll celebrate together. Vanessa, my voice cracked. Grace might not make it to June. There was a pause. A sigh. Annoyance. Well, I can't put everything on hold forever just because you're grieving. My heart froze. When I got married, Vanessa used my reception to announce her engagement. When I graduated nursing school, she spent the dinner bragging about her promotion. And now, she wanted me smiling beside a pool, while my daughter was dying, but still. I forced the words. What date exactly? June 15th? Perfect weather. My stomach turned. The day they predicted I'd bury my child. We hung up. I went back to Grace. I sang her favorite lullaby until she slept, and pretended the world wasn't falling apart. June 9th. Sunrise. Grace opened her eyes one last time. "I love you, Mommy." Then the machine stopped. And my world stopped, too. I held her until they pulled me away. My screams drowned by alarms. I didn't breathe again until I was forced to. That night, I set the funeral for June 15th, the earliest available. I called my parents. "Oh, sweetheart." "But that's the same day as Vanessa's party." Silence. "Well, we'll figure something out?" Mom lied. I already knew what they would choose. Vanessa called later. I shouldn't have answered. "Just move the funeral," she said. "Funerals are flexible, but the caterer isn't. Please don't ruin my day." Ruin? Her day. I nearly dropped the phone. "You want me to delay burying my child so you can serve poolside cocktails? You're being dramatic. It's just one sad thing versus a huge milestone." I hung up before rage turned into something dangerous. Ending curiosity hook. I thought the worst pain was losing my daughter. I was wrong. The real pain was discovering who my family truly was. To be continued. Part 2 will go even deeper. Grief didn't drown me. It sharpened me. Before start video, please subscribe to channel. Grace's funeral was set. June 15th. The day I would lay my heart into the ground and walk away alone, I expected my parents to choose correctly. To be human. To be grandparents. Instead, my father called, not to console me, but to reason with me. "It's very expensive for Vanessa to reschedule," he explained like I'd asked for the moon. "Your mother has her volunteer work. I have golf tournaments. We can't drop everything. Golf took priority over goodbye. You're choosing Vanessa's party over Grace's funeral? We're not choosing. We're just trying to make everyone happy. Everyone but the mother burying her child. My heart didn't break that night. It calcified. Grace's funeral came. A tiny white casket under a sky far too blue. For a moment, I hated the sun for shining. Julia, my best friend and the only real family I had left, held me up when my knees failed. A few nurses and doctors came. Grace's preschool teacher sobbed until she couldn't breathe. But my sister? My parents? They were 200 miles away, holding champagne flutes, while I whispered my last, "I love you," into a grave. They posed for photos, arms around each other, tears of joy sparkling in their eyes. Later that night, I opened Vanessa's social media through shaking hands. Biggest day of my life. Nothing matters more than family. Family. My parents commented, "So proud of our successful daughter." Success, somewhere between those captions, I buried the version of me who forgave. Julia sat with me afterward, refusing to let me disappear into silence. "They're monsters," she muttered. "No," I whispered. "Monsters are honest. They hide their cruelty behind love." She squeezed my hand. "You don't deserve this." But that was the day I realized something. Love isn't what people say. Love is where they stand. When the ground collapses beneath you, and they stood nowhere near me. Nights became long interrogation rooms where my mind replayed their choices. Housewarming party, champagne, music by the pool, while my daughter's coffin was lowered into the earth. They didn't just abandon Grace, they abandoned me. What do you do when you have nothing left to lose? You stop being afraid. That night, I lay awake with clarity burning through every vein. If they could celebrate while I sank into darkness, then I would become the dark. I opened my laptop. Not to scroll, not to cry, but to plan. My sister, pharmaceutical sales, aggressive, always bragging. I'd overheard whispers at the hospital long ago. Unethical pressure, off-label drug pushing, complaints. I dug deeper. Emails, records, doctors who remembered her manipulation clearly. Proof, stack after stack of proof. Her career, her house, her entire world, all built on fraud and death. If she thought my daughter's funeral was a minor event, then I would show her what a major consequence feels like. I wasn't angry anymore. Anger is loud. What I felt was silent. Precise, inevitable. The law couldn't bring my daughter back, but it could take everything from the people who celebrated her death day. Before start video, please subscribe to channel. I contacted a journalist, Trevor, a man who hunted corporate corruption like a calling. We met in a quiet coffee shop where the world still pretended life was normal. He flipped through my evidence with wide eyes. "This isn't just misconduct," he said. "This is criminal, felony level. Careers end over this." "My sister built her life on lies," I replied. "It's time everyone else knows it too." He looked up, studying me, the grief carved into my face. "This story will destroy her." "She destroyed herself," I whispered. "I'm just handing the truth a microphone." The investigation began. Quietly. Vanessa didn't know anything was coming. Meanwhile, my parents posted photo dumps about gardening days and game nights, as if they hadn't abandoned their granddaughter's burial. I wasn't going to hurt them physically. Just remove the illusions they worshipped. I knew my father's password, one he believed was clever. I knew his fears, financial insecurity. I knew exactly which triggers would unravel them both. Emails, alerts, security flags. Panic layered upon panic. Accounts frozen. Investments questioned. They ran in circles chasing threats I invented. For the first time in their life, they didn't feel safe, the same way they left me. Then, Thursday morning, the domino fell. Trevor's article exploded onto every screen in Texas. Top pharmaceutical sales rep accused of fraud, endangered patients for profit. Vanessa's name. Her face, her crimes, everywhere. By afternoon, cameras surrounded her house. By evening, she was fired. By night, the government was knocking. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Vanessa, how could you do this? I'm your sister. You're a monster. If caring about my dying child made me dramatic, then protecting her memory made me monstrous. Fine. Let them see the monster they created. I went to Grace's grave that night. Sat beside the grass, still trying to grow over her. It started, sweetheart, I told her softly. Their world is shaking now. But the wind didn't cheer for me. The stars didn't sparkle brighter. Grief still sat beside me. Unchanged. Revenge isn't fireworks. It's quiet. Ice instead of flame. Vanessa showed up at my apartment days later. Desperate, mascara streaking her cheeks. She pounded on the door. I said I was sorry about the date. It was one mistake. One mistake? You can't call a funeral minor and still expect forgiveness. I watched on my security camera feed. Her sobs turning into screams. You ruined me. I've lost everything. I pressed the speaker button. You lost my daughter first. She staggered back. No comeback. No excuses left. Just a woman meeting the consequences she earned. Then my parents finally called again. Finally admitting the truth. Not that they were wrong, but that they were uncomfortable. Your father's having panic attacks. We're exhausted dealing with her crisis. Help us fix this. Fix this? They abandoned me in my darkest hour. Now they begged me from the dark I put them in. I'm busy, I said, and hung up. Busy. Grieving for a child they refused to grieve with me. Revenge didn't just knock on their door. It walked inside and made itself comfortable. Before, start video, please subscribe to channel. Vanessa's arrest came fast. Too fast. For her to spin a new version of herself. Handcuffs. Cameras. Headlines. The glittering queen of pharmaceutical. Sales reduced to a trembling defendant begging for mercy she never gave. My parents emptied their savings to rescue her, because that's who they were. When I needed saving, they were too busy booking flights for a party. Now, they were selling retirement dreams just to keep their favorite child out of jail, and I didn't feel joy. I felt justice finally remembering my name, but this story wasn't just about Vanessa. There were two more villains who needed to face what they'd done. My parents always taught me actions had consequences. They just never thought those rules applied to them. So I sent another wave. Vanessa's party photos, posted proudly online, smiles sparkling while Grace's coffin descended into earth. Same day, same hour. I gave those photos to Trevor. Timestamps included. He didn't hold back. Family celebrates luxury home while child relative is buried alone. Grandparents choose party over granddaughter's funeral. Their names. Their faces. Their shame. Everywhere. A quote from a neighbor in the article. If my granddaughter died, I'd crawl to the funeral if I had to. My parents couldn't crawl out of the house now. Not without whispers, stares, disgust. Their phones flooded with hate. Their doors with reporters. Their world turned into a cage. Then came the call. It was my mother, voice trembling like a child shaking in the dark. Are you happy now? We've lost everything. Your father had a heart attack from the stress. I let her words settle like dust. Is he going to die? I asked flatly. What? Why would you? Because if he is, I need to check my calendar. I'd hate another scheduling conflict. She broke down sobbing, a sound that once would have shattered me, but my heart wasn't theirs anymore. You've become evil, she choked out. No, I said. I became equal. And then she made the mistake of saying Grace's name. Grace wouldn't want this. Stop. I didn't shout often, but this time the word exploded from a place torn wide open. You forfeited the right to speak her name when you chose cocktails over compassion. I hung up. It didn't bring relief, but it brought silence, and that was enough. Vanessa's trial arrived. I sat in the back of the courtroom, invisible to her. Until I wanted to be seen, she looked around, found me, froze. In her final statement, sat gently on the grass, her headstone cool beneath my fingertips. I did it, I whispered. They felt the pain they tried to ignore. They know what they took from us. The world waited for the triumphant rise of the Avenger. But revenge doesn't give you wings. It leaves you standing in ashes, breathing but not alive. Why doesn't it feel better? I asked the air, no answer. Just wind brushing tears from my cheek. I started slipping into work like it was oxygen. Extra shifts. Late nights. Exhaustion as anesthetic, Dr. Harrison noticed. You can't outrun grief, he said gently. It walks with you until you learn to walk together. I hated how right he was. Julia refused to quit on me. She dragged me to the support group, a basement full of shattered parents trying to remember how to be whole. For 2 months, I sat silent. Then one day the words spilled out like broken glass coated in love. I lost my little girl, I said, and my family left me to bury her alone. No one judged me. No one told me to move on. They understood the language of living with holes in the heart. Later, one grieving mother pulled me aside. I heard about your sister, she whispered. You stood up for your daughter when they wouldn't. That's strength. Strength. The word didn't feel jagged anymore. So I kept showing up. For them. For the parents losing battles they never chose. For the children whose courage was carved into tiny, frail bodies. Helping others didn't erase my pain, but it reminded me I still had value beyond it. Years passed. Grace stayed 3 forever, frozen in memory. But I aged, changed, softened in places I thought would stay sharp forever. I visited her grave each anniversary, sharing stories she should have lived. One day, Julia came with me. I want you to meet who I used to live for, I told her. We placed flowers together. I spoke to Grace as if she were lying in soft sheets rather than soil. You made me kind, I told the stone. And when you left, I became a storm, I had to. The world wasn't kind back. Julia wrapped an arm around my shoulders, grounding me when grief tried to lift me away. I received a final letter, one I had legally allowed through, from my mother. We failed you. We failed her. We live with that every day. We love you. We always will. Be happy if you can. Mommy didn't respond. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. Some graves hold more than one loss, and forgiveness isn't owed, especially when the wound never healed. One quiet Tuesday, I sat before Grace's photo, the one from her 3rd birthday, her face smeared with chocolate, joy spilling from every pore. I survived, I whispered, not gracefully, not kindly, but I survived. I framed the truth in the only way that mattered. I could not bring back my child. I could not erase my family's betrayal, but I could choose what happened next, not revenge. Not regret. Life small, shaky, but starting. Wherever you are, sweetheart, I murmured. I hope you can see. I'm trying. A breath. Not shattered, steady. I will always love you. And because of you, I'm learning to love the world again. The window was open. A breeze swept through. For a moment, it felt like Grace's tiny hand in mine. I closed my eyes and held on to it, even if only in memory. Grace was still leading me forward,